Biochemicals in cell, we have 5 biochemicals: water, carbohydrate, lipid, protein, nucleic acid. Now, if you look at the previous syllabus, one of the most famous biochemical is lipid. They love asking lipid. Maybe nowadays, I think the DNA, RNA is a bit more famous. A lipid has always been one of the favorites when it comes to chapter 4. One of the reasons why we love lipid, first reason is the others is a standard answer, which is 1 plus 1 is 1. Standard answer. Doesn't follow maths because biology. 1 plus 1 is 1. Meaning, one monosaccharide, another monosaccharide, you get disaccharide. One monosaccharide, condensation, another monosaccharide, you get one disaccharide. 1 plus 1 is 1. You take protein, one amino acid, condensation, another amino acid, you get one dipeptide. So it tends to be 1 plus 1 is 1. For carbohydrate like that, for protein also like that. For lipid, it is not like that, because in here, this is 1, this is 3. So the normal rule is 1 plus 1 is 1 for carbohydrate, for protein. But only for the lipid, 1 plus 3 is 1. You get 1 triglyceride, but you need 3 fatty acid and 1 glycerol. So most of the students, they ignore the number. They don't write the number in the answer. So if you don't write the numbers, because 1 plus 1, I don't have to write 1. Monosaccharide, condensation with monosaccharide gets disaccharide. Generally, I don't have to write the number, 1 plus 1. Amino acid, condensation with amino acid, I get dipeptide. I don't need to mention the number. But when it comes to this, if you don't mention the number, the answer goes wrong. So we know the students don't mention the number, so we love asking this question, number 1. Number 2, when it comes to fat, there is another question that most of the students will find hard to answer. What is saturated? What is unsaturated? And in the old syllabus, another reason we love this question is we can easily ask about disease related to fat. Obesity, atherosclerosis, arteriosclerosis. We can continue the question. I can ask you, explain how it formed. I can ask you, what is saturated? I can ask you, what is the disease? So we can easily create a very long question by just focusing on the lipid alone. Old syllabus, every structure is 12 marks. So last time we loved lipid because easily I can create question to get the 12 marks. Your syllabus structure question 6 marks, 7 marks. So we can't create long questions now. The questions has become shorter. So the question here, so I'm covering in this question lipid, proteins, DNA, RNA, all of that. I'll have a separate question. We go subtopic by subtopic. At the moment, the first question is how triglyceride is formed. Where to get the answer? From the diagram. Make use of the diagram. The whole answer is in the diagram. But the question didn't ask us for the name. If they want, they'll ask identify P, identify Q. They didn't ask. Even though they didn't ask, we identify them. We inform the examiner what is it. So P is glycerol, Q is fatty acid. As I already mentioned earlier, is 1 glycerol, 3 fatty acid produce 1 triglyceride. The number must have in the answer. The reaction, you all are by right, chemistry experts by now. You should know X, because it's releasing water, X is condensation. If there is the opposite reaction, then you call it hydrolysis. There are some partial questions, they ask both process, condensation and hydrolysis. This question that I've created, I only want to know condensation. So meaning, one of the first points you inform the examiner, X is condensation. The name condensation is 1 mark. The next point is you have to convert the diagram into answer. Make sure you mention the number. Condensation of 1P. I already identify what is it. So condensation of 1P with 3Q forms 1 triglyceride. Without the number, considered incorrect. Second point, condensation of 1P with 3Q forms 1 triglyceride. So meaning, if I go back to the diagram, I have used this as the answer. I have used this as the answer. I identified what is X. I have used this as the answer. 1 plus 3, I get 1 triglyceride. So I need another 1 mark. Where is it? I need another 1 mark. Where is it? This is the remaining 1 mark. The problem again, students will write this process releases water. They don't mention the number. We know the student, they don't use the word condensation. They will write P and Q reacts to form triglyceride. They simply use the word react. You must use the word condensation. Most of the students don't mention the number. P reacts with Q to form triglyceride. The word react is considered wrong. Without the number, considered wrong. This process releases water molecule. Again wrong because they didn't mention the number 3. This is how the students lose marks. They are writing the answer, but it's not precise. It's a general answer. General answer will not give you any mark. This process releases 3 water molecules. This process releases 3 water molecules. Again, what did I do? I just got the answer from the diagram. The whole answer is from the diagram. Bonus question. I can ask you the backward question also. Meaning maybe in the exam is this way. Same thing. Hydrolysis of 1 triglyceride forms 1 glycerol and 3 fatty acids. This process uses 3 water molecules. So first question, how to break triglyceride? One question we can ask. Most of the time, this question will come with the diagram and you just convert the diagram into answer. Consider bonus question. After we give you a bonus question, the next one for many students, it will be a hard question because most of the students don't remember the answer, which is, I've given here butter and cooking oil and I'm asking you to compare both of this. Based on diagram 2.2, explain the 2 differences between butter and cooking oil. Any answers? Suggestion, answer. Okay, solid, liquid, saturated, unsaturated, saturated. Okay, good. So saturated, unsaturated, if not solid and liquid. All of these answers are correct. Most of the students will know, okay, one is saturated, one is unsaturated. Most of the students will know one is solid, one is liquid. The problem is the explanation. If you write saturated, you need to define the saturated. If you say unsaturated, you need to define the unsaturated. So the definition is where the problem. Most students will know saturated, unsaturated, but the definition is the problem. So how to remember the definition? All you have to do is, you are by now chemistry experts, so super easy to know the definition. For saturated, so butter is a saturated fatty acid. And what is the definition for saturated fatty acid is carbon linked to carbon. By now, when I explain this to a Form 4 student, they don't know, they haven't learned the whole of chemistry. They haven't completed the syllabus. So in chapter 4, Form 4, when I define this, it's quite hard for the students to understand because their chemistry knowledge is limited. You all are now chemistry experts. So immediately when you see this, you know how to explain. A saturated fatty acid is a fatty acid that has only single bond. The textbook didn't even use the word covalent bond. They just used the word bond. So saturated fatty acid is a fatty acid that only have single bond between carbon atoms. Cukup. Only single bond between carbon atom. Actually, now only suddenly I realize this is saturated. Saturated fatty acid. Suddenly I know something. I don't know whether you saw some light bulb light up over my head or not. Suddenly I thought, yeah, you can just remember saturated means as for single. So meaning they have single bond. And The same as also you can remember this is solid. Habis cerita. Dua difference sudah dapat. So saturated fatty acid is they have only single bond between carbon atom. They are solid. But when you write solid, what is your explanation? The explanation is physical condition. So physical condition is solid at room temperature. So from the word saturated, you see the word alphabet S, you can remember a single bond, only single bond between carbon atom. They are solid in terms of physical condition at room temperature. If you know saturated, automatically you should know for unsaturated. One way to remember is for butter, 2 carbon with a single line. For unsaturated, you still have the 2 carbon, but you have double line. This one here, you must use the word at least. At least 1 double bond. The other side, you must use only single bond. This side must use the word only single bond. Most students will know saturated, unsaturated, but most of the students will struggle with the definition. So easy way to remember by now, you're good in chemistry, 1 bond, double bond. Single bond, double bond should be enough. So because the question asked me to explain, I need to make the answer longer. The easiest answer is the physical condition. That will be our first answer here. So the physical condition at room temperature for butter is solid. This is the explanation. Physical condition at room temperature. This is the fact. Butter is solid while cooking oil is liquid. Fakta dan penerangan. Fact and explanation. If you only have the fact without explanation, you don't get the marks. Yes, this is solid, this is liquid, but physical condition at room temperature. This is the easy answer. If they ask you for one difference, write this. Ini senang. But if they ask you for 2 difference, then we don't have a choice. We need to mention saturated, unsaturated. So the longer answer is what you have on this side. Butter contains only saturated fatty acid, which contains only single covalent bond between carbon atoms. So this is the definition for saturated. Maybe I just change the color. This is the definition for saturated. This is the definition for unsaturated. At least 1 double bond. See, the word covalent textbook didn't mention. You just use the word bond should be enough. At least 1 double bond between carbon atoms. Now, how do I remember this? C double bond C, C double single bond C. And since you are chemistry expert, there is another answer also. 2 answer enough, but there's one more answer, which I'm sure you know. Which bond can be broken? Can be broken and can be replaced with hydrogen atom. If needed, yes, correct, you can break this bond. By breaking the bond, you can add 2 hydrogen atom, which is another difference. Which is saturated fatty acid. Saturated fatty acid cannot form new bonds with hydrogen atom. Cannot form. The double bond can form new bond with hydrogen atom. Can form, but you need to break the double bond first. But the thing is, if they want, they can form new bonds with hydrogen atom, which is also answer. That one I leave it as optional. Most probably they're only going to ask you for 1 difference or maybe 2 difference. So these 2 is enough for you to get the marks. But in case you need it, 3 points. And I think I should have another answer. Yeah, this one. So this is the other answer that you can use. They cannot form new chemical bond with additional hydrogen atom. The other one can form new chemical bond with hydrogen atom. This one only use if it's necessary. The 2 difference that you can easily get is this and this. Should be enough. When it comes to fact, when you are explaining the reaction, don't forget the numbers. 1 with 3. When you are comparing saturated, unsaturated, Easy answer is the physical condition at room temperature. If need, then you need to write the definition. To remember the definition, just remember C dash C, C double bond C. Convert that into sentence. But make sure this is only single bond, at least one double. At least one double bond. That should be enough for lipid.